Hey there, Thought Tidbitters, and welcome back to the channel for another deep dive.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we're going to be talking about the psychology of love and relationships.
Oh, very exciting.
Yeah, super interesting topic. And to help us navigate this complex world, we have an expert in relationship psychology joining us today.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, so I was doing a little bit of reading to prepare for today, and I came across some research about how our childhood experiences can shape our adult relationships.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So our early bonds with our caregivers form the basis of what we call our attachment style.
Okay.
So that's like a blueprint for how we approach intimacy and connection throughout our lives.
Okay, so attachment style.
Yes.
I feel like I've heard this term before,
You probably have.
but I don't really know exactly what it means.
Yeah. So think of it like this. Imagine a baby bird learning to fly. If its parents are consistently there providing a safe nest to return to, that baby bird is going to feel secure and confident to explore the world.
Makes sense.
But if the nest is unpredictable or the parents are unreliable, that baby bird might develop anxiety around leaving the nest or become overly independent and avoid closeness altogether.
Wow, I really like that analogy.
Thank you.
So basically, those early experiences create patterns in how we connect with others.
That's exactly it. And these patterns often carry over into our adult relationships, influencing how we choose partners, how we communicate, and how we handle conflict.
So you're saying that those early childhood experiences can have a lasting impact on our love lives.
They can.
Fascinating.
So are there like types of attachment styles?
Yeah. Are there different styles and are some healthier than others?
Yes, there are. Researchers have identified 4 main attachment styles.
Okay.
Secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized.
Okay. 4.
4.
That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful to have a real life example.
Yeah.
Can we make up a couple and see how these different styles might play out?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say we have a couple named Chris and Taylor.
Okay. I like them already.
All right, so Chris has a secure attachment style,
Okay.
meaning they're comfortable with intimacy, they trust their partner, and they don't fear abandonment.
Secure Chris.
Secure Chris.
Got it.
Now, if Taylor also has a secure attachment style, they're probably in pretty good shape.
Yeah, that sounds like a good match.
Right. They're going to be able to communicate openly, express their needs, and resolve conflicts constructively.
That's the dream.
That is the dream.
But what if Taylor has a different attachment style?
Okay.
Let's say they're anxious.
Okay, so if Taylor has an anxious attachment style, they might crave a lot of closeness and reassurance from Chris,
Okay.
but also worry about being rejected or abandoned.
I see.
So this can lead to Taylor seeking constant validation or feeling insecure when Chris needs some space.
So even though Chris is secure, Taylor's anxiety could create tension in the relationship.
Absolutely, and it can often lead to misunderstandings.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because Chris might interpret Taylor's need for reassurance as clinginess,
Right.
while Taylor might perceive Chris's need for space as a lack of interest.
Oh, so it's all about understanding those underlying attachment patterns.
It is.
Okay. Well, what about the avoidant attachment style?
Okay.
How would that one play out in our hypothetical couple?
All right, so if Taylor has an avoidant attachment style,
Okay.
they might value their independence a lot and find it difficult to open up emotionally.
Okay.
So they might pull away when things start to feel too intense or have a hard time committing fully to the relationship.
And how would Chris react to that?
Well, Chris might end up feeling frustrated and emotionally disconnected because their partner's not meeting their needs for intimacy.
Right.
So basically, different attachment styles can lead to a whole lot of miscommunication and conflict if both people aren't aware of what's going on.
So it's like speaking different languages,
Yeah.
even though you're both trying to say, I love you. So is there hope for couples with different attachment styles?
Absolutely, there is.
Okay. Go.
Awareness is key.
Okay.
Once you understand your own attachment style and your partner's style, you can start to communicate more effectively and develop strategies for navigating those differences.
So it's about understanding yourself and where you're coming from.
Yes, and also understanding your partner.
Okay.
For example, if you're with someone who has an anxious attachment style, you can reassure them of your love and commitment
Okay.
while also setting healthy boundaries.
Makes sense.
And if you have an avoidant attachment style, you can work on expressing your emotions more openly and allowing yourself to be vulnerable with your partner.
So basically, it's possible to have a successful relationship even if you and your partner have different attachment styles.
Absolutely, it is.
That's good to know because I think a lot of people listening might be feeling a little discouraged right now.
Yeah, but there's no need to despair.
Okay.
Attachment styles aren't set in stone. With self-awareness, effort, and sometimes the help of therapy, it's absolutely possible to shift towards a more secure attachment style.
Oh, that's great news.
So even if your childhood experiences weren't ideal, you can rewrite those relationship blueprints as adults.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's never too late to learn new ways of relating.
Never too late.
Now, this is making me think about how we express and experience love, which I feel like is a whole other layer of complexity.
Right.
It's not just about the attachment style. It's about how we show love and how we receive it.
It is. And that brings us to the concept of love languages.
Love languages.
Yeah, the different ways that we give and receive love.
Okay, I've heard a lot about love languages,
Yeah.
but I've got to admit I was a bit skeptical at first.
Yeah.
I thought it sounded a little bit gimmicky.
I understand that.
But the more I've read about it, the more I see how understanding these differences can be a game changer in relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just a fluffy concept. There's
Yeah.
actual research behind it.
Yes.
So can you break it down for us? What are these love languages?
All right, so there are 5 main love languages.
5.
Words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch.
Okay, so each language represents a different way of expressing and experiencing love.
Exactly.
So, for example, someone whose love language is words of affirmation feels most loved when they hear, I love you, or they receive compliments and words of encouragement.
That's right.
Okay, so it's all about verbal expressions of affection.
It is. And for someone whose primary language is acts of service, they might feel most loved when their partner helps out with chores, runs errands for them, or does something practical to make their life easier.
Okay, so it's about action speaking louder than words.
Yeah, actions speak volumes in that case.
What about receiving gifts?
Okay.
Is that just about material things?
It's not just about material things.
Okay.
While tangible gifts are part of it, it's really about the thoughtfulness and effort behind the gesture.
Okay.
It's about feeling seen and appreciated through those tangible expressions of love.
So it's not about the price tag.
No.
It's about the symbolism.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it. What about quality time?
Quality time is all about giving your undivided attention.
Yeah.
So for someone with this love language, they feel most connected when their partner is fully present, engaged in conversation, and making an effort to spend meaningful time together.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely relate to that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, we have physical touch.
Yes. So this love language is all about expressing affection through physical contact,
Okay.
whether it's holding hands, cuddling, hugging, or kissing.
So it's about feeling that physical connection and closeness.
Absolutely. It's about feeling loved and cared for through those physical expressions of affection.
Okay, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
let's say you're in a relationship where you and your partner have different love languages.
Okay.
How does that play out?
All right. So imagine Chris, whose love language is quality time,
Right.
and Taylor, whose love language is acts of service.
Okay, different languages.
Different languages. So
Okay.
Chris might feel most loved when they're having a deep conversation with Taylor or going on a special date night.
Makes sense.
While Taylor feels most appreciated when Chris helps out with the dishes or fixes something around the house.
So they're both expressing love, but in ways that don't quite resonate with the other person.
Exactly. And this can lead to feeling unappreciated or misunderstood, even if both partners are genuinely trying to show love.
No, it's sad.
Yeah, Chris might get frustrated if Taylor is constantly busy doing chores instead of spending quality time together.
Right.
While Taylor might feel hurt if Chris doesn't seem to notice or appreciate all the effort they're putting into keeping things running smoothly.
So in a way, it's like they're speaking different languages, even though they're both saying, I love you.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, so how can couples bridge that gap?
Well, the key is to be aware of each other's love languages
Oh.
and to make an effort to speak each other's language.
Okay.
So Chris could make an effort to help out with chores more often, even if it's not their natural inclination,
Okay.
while Taylor could carve out dedicated time for meaningful conversations and activities with Chris.
So it's all about compromise and finding ways to meet each other's needs in a way that feels genuine and loving.
It is. And it's not about becoming someone you're not.
Right.
It's about making a conscious effort to express love in a way that your partner can truly receive and appreciate.
Okay, so now I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Is there a connection between attachment styles and love languages?
There is. They can
Yeah.
definitely intersect.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, someone with an anxious attachment style might have a particularly strong need for words of affirmation
Okay,
because they crave that reassurance and validation.
that makes sense.
Or someone with an avoidant attachment style might gravitate towards acts of service
Okay.
because it feels less emotionally intense than, say, physical touch.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it's like these different pieces of the relationship puzzle are starting to fit together.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I need to figure out my love language and my partner's love language.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to do that?
Yeah. Well, there are a few ways. You can start by simply observing patterns in your relationship.
So,
So ask yourself, what makes you feel most loved and appreciated?
okay.
And what actions or words from your partner leave you feeling deeply connected?
So it's about paying attention to those little things that make you feel good or bad in the relationship.
It is. And you can also check out resources like Gary Chapman's Love Language Quiz.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it can be a great starting point for self-discovery and conversation.
Awesome. So now I'm wondering, do these love languages change over time? Like, can your preferred language shift as you go through different life stages?
They can.
Really?
Your priorities and needs might change as you go through different phases of life.
Right.
Becoming a parent, for example, might shift your love language towards acts of service
Oh, interesting.
as you navigate the demands of caring for a child.
Makes sense.
Or going through a period of personal growth might lead you to value quality time more deeply
Okay.
as you crave deeper connection and understanding.
So it's not a static thing.
No.
It's a dynamic process
Yes.
that reflects where we are in our lives.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to keep checking in with yourself and your partner
Okay.
to make sure you're speaking each other's love language in a way that feels relevant and meaningful in the present moment.
This is all such valuable information.
Yeah.
Making me rethink
Yeah.
so many of my own relationship patterns.
I'm glad.
So we've talked about attachment styles.
Yes.
We've talked about love languages.
Yeah.
But what about the actual dynamics that make some relationships thrive
Right.
while others struggle?
That's $1 million question.
Yeah, is there a secret formula for
You-
creating a healthy, lasting connection?
Well, there's no magic bullet,
Okay.
but research shows that healthy relationships tend to be built on 3 key pillars:
Oh, okay. 3 pillars.
communication, conflict resolution, and mutual respect.
Okay, let's break those down.
Yeah.
What does effective communication actually look like in a relationship?
Yeah, it's more than just talking to each other.
Right.
It's about creating a safe space where both partners feel comfortable expressing their thoughts and feelings openly and honestly without fear of judgment or criticism.
So no walking on eggshells.
No walking on eggshells.
Okay.
It's about really listening to each other, trying to understand each other's perspectives, and being willing to compromise.
So it's about being vulnerable and really seeing each other, even when it's not always pretty.
It is. It's about accepting that you're not always going to agree,
Yeah,
but you're committed to working through those differences with respect and empathy.
that sounds beautiful.
It is.
But in the real world, conflicts are bound to happen, right?
Absolutely.
So how can couples navigate those disagreements in a way that strengthens the relationship rather than tearing it apart?
That's where conflict resolution skills come into play.
Okay, conflict resolution.
Yeah. Successful couples, they approach conflict as a team, not as adversaries.
Okay, I like that teamwork.
They use I statements to express their feelings. They focus on the issue at hand rather than attacking each other personally, and they're willing to take breaks when things get too heated to avoid escalation.
So it's about fighting fair,
Exactly.
knowing how to disagree without resorting to low blows or character assassination.
Exactly. And it's about remembering that you're on the same team even when you're in the middle of a heated argument.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, your goal is to find a resolution that works for both of you, not to win the fight.
It's about focusing on the we instead of the me versus you.
Yes.
Okay, so we've covered communication. We've covered conflict resolution. What about mutual respect?
Okay, so mutual respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship.
The foundation, right?
Yeah, it's about valuing each other's opinions, boundaries, and needs, even if they're different from your own.
Right.
It's about treating your partner with kindness, consideration, and empathy, both in words and actions.
So it's about recognizing that your partner is a separate individual
Yes.
with their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
Absolutely. And it's about honoring those differences while still coming together as a team.
This is all so insightful. It's making me rethink so many of my own relationship patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm wondering, what are some red flags
Hmm.
that might indicate a relationship is veering into unhealthy territory?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are definitely some warning signs to watch out for.
Okay, give us the warning signs.
Controlling behavior is a big one.
Controlling behavior, okay.
If one partner consistently tries to dominate decisions, dictate the other's actions, or isolate them from friends and family, that's a major red flag.
So it's about power dynamics, right?
Yes.
In a healthy relationship, there's a sense of balance and equality.
Right.
But when one person starts trying to control the other, that's when things can get really toxic.
It can.
What else?
Another red flag is a lack of accountability.
Okay.
If one partner consistently blames the other for everything that goes wrong, refuses to acknowledge their own role in conflicts, or minimizes the other person's feelings, that's a sign of trouble.
And of course, emotional manipulation is never okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
Using guilt trips, fear, or threats to control your partner's behavior is incredibly damaging and toxic.
Right.
And similarly, disrespecting boundaries is another major red flag.
Okay, disrespecting boundaries.
Yeah. If one partner consistently ignores the other's need for space, pushes them to do things they're not comfortable with, or dismisses their feelings,
Right.
that's a sign that the relationship is not built on mutual respect and understanding.
Wow. Those are some serious warning signs.
They are.
So if someone's listening to this and realizing, well, some of those red flags are popping up in my relationship,
Yeah.
what's the best course of action?
Well, the first step is to acknowledge that there's a problem.
Okay.
It's easy to get caught in denial or make excuses for your partner's behavior,
Right.
but it's crucial to be honest with yourself about what's going on.
Honesty is key.
It is.
Okay. What else?
From there, talking to a trusted friend, family member, or therapist can be incredibly helpful.
Okay.
They can provide support guidance and an objective perspective on the situation.
That's so important to have that support system.
It is. And sometimes seeking professional help as a couple can be beneficial.
Couples therapy.
Yeah, couples therapy can provide a safe and structured environment to work through conflicts, improve communication, and learn healthier ways of relating to each other.
So it's not a sign of weakness to go to couples therapy.
Absolutely not. It's a sign of commitment to the relationship and a willingness to invest in making things better.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears a bit, I'm curious to explore how societal and cultural factors influence our views on love and relationships.
Okay.
It's not all just individual psychology at play, right?
It's not. Society plays a huge role in shaping our expectations, beliefs, and even our behaviors in relationships.
So,
Well, for example, media often portrays love as this effortless, fairy tale-like experience.
oh yeah, the Hollywood ending.
Exactly. Which can set people up for disappointment when they encounter real-life challenges.
Right, because real love takes work.
It does.
It's not all champagne and roses.
It's not. Cultural norms around gender roles can also have a significant impact on relationships.
Oh yeah.
In some cultures, men are still expected to be the breadwinners and women are expected to be the primary caregivers,
Right.
which can create imbalances in power and responsibility within a relationship.
So these societal expectations can actually clash with the principles of equality and mutual respect that we talked about earlier.
We can. It's like we're being bombarded with messages about how relationships should be, but those messages might not always align with what's actually healthy or fulfilling.
That's a great point.
Right.
So it's important to be aware of those influences.
Yes.
And to challenge those norms when they're not serving us well.
Absolutely. It's about creating relationships that reflect our own values and needs, not just blindly following societal scripts.
So it's about taking ownership of our own relationship journey and not letting societal pressures dictate how we love or who we love.
Exactly.
Now, I'm curious about this whole idea of soulmates.
Oh, soulmates.
Yeah, is that a real thing? Or is it just a romantic fantasy?
It's a good question.
Do you believe in the concept of the one from a psychological perspective?
Well, the idea of finding the one is certainly a captivating concept,
It is.
but it can also be limiting.
Oh, how so?
Because it creates this pressure to find the perfect person who will magically fulfill all our needs and expectations.
Right.
Which isn't realistic.
So you're saying it's more about compatibility and shared values
It is.
than finding someone who's your perfect mirror image?
Exactly. Compatibility isn't something you just stumble upon. It's something you cultivate over time.
Well, I like that.
Through shared experiences, open communication, and a willingness to grow and evolve together.
And let's not forget the importance of emotional intelligence in relationships.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What exactly is emotional intelligence?
Okay.
And why is it so crucial when it comes to love?
So emotional intelligence, or EQ, is essentially the ability to understand and manage your own emotions,
Okay.
as well as to recognize and empathize with the emotions of others.
So it's not just about being in touch with your own feelings.
No, it's not.
It's also about being able to tune into your partner's emotional state.
Precisely. And in a relationship, that's incredibly important.
Yeah.
Couples with high EQ are better equipped to navigate conflicts, communicate effectively, and build a strong foundation of trust and intimacy.
So they're more likely to respond to their partner's needs with understanding and compassion,
Yes.
even when things get tough.
Even when things get tough. This making me think about vulnerability,
Oh, yeah. Vulnerability.
which can be a scary thing for a lot of people, especially in relationships.
Oh, absolutely. So why is vulnerability so important in love?
Well, you're right. It can be terrifying.
Yeah.
But vulnerability is the key to true intimacy.
Okay.
It's about letting your guard down, sharing your fears and insecurities, and allowing your partner to see the real you, flaws and all.
So what are the benefits of being vulnerable in a relationship?
When you're vulnerable with each other, you create a space for deep connection and emotional intimacy. It fosters trust and understanding, and it allows you to support each other through difficult times.
I see.
It's about knowing that you can be your authentic self with your partner and that they'll love and accept you unconditionally.
I love that. It's about creating a safe haven where you can be fully seen and loved for who you truly are without judgment or pretense.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of communication,
Yes.
conflict resolution,
Yeah.
mutual respect,
Right.
emotional intelligence, and vulnerability.
We've covered a lot.
We have.
Yeah.
But what about those couples who seem to have it all figured out?
Okay.
The ones who have managed to maintain happy and fulfilling relationships for decades?
Yeah, the relationship goals.
Yeah, what's their secret sauce?
Well, researchers have actually studied these couples extensively,
Really?
trying to pinpoint the factors that contribute to their long-term success.
Okay, and what have they found?
What they found is that enduring couples tend to share certain key characteristics.
Okay, what are they?
They prioritize friendship,
French?
meaning they genuinely enjoy spending time together and consider each other their best friend.
Oh,
They express gratitude regularly, appreciating the small things their partner does and acknowledging each other's efforts.
that's sweet.
They adapt to change, understanding that life is constantly evolving and that their relationship needs to evolve along with it.
That's important.
And perhaps most importantly, they seek help when they need it.
So it's about having each other's backs through thick and thin and knowing that you're not alone in facing life's challenges.
Exactly. Love is a journey, not a destination.
Oh, I like that.
It requires ongoing effort, communication, and a willingness to grow both individually and together.
It's about choosing to show up for each other day after day, even when it's hard.
It is.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Right.
I feel like I'm seeing relationships in a whole new light now.
That's wonderful. That's what I love about relationship psychology. It gives us a deeper understanding of ourselves and our partners so we can create more conscious, fulfilling connections.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being here.
And to all you amazing Thought Tidbitters out there, we're not done yet. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into the psychology of love, where we'll explore the influence of power dynamics, the importance of emotional intelligence in conflict resolution, and the transformative power of vulnerability. You know, it's funny, we often hear that love is all you need.
Right.
But after diving into all these psychological nuances, it's clear that there's a lot more to the story, right?
Absolutely. Love is a wonderful foundation, but it's not the whole picture. Think of it like building a house.
Okay, house.
Yeah, love is a foundation, but you need other elements like trust, respect, and commitment to create a strong and stable structure.
So love is the spark, but it takes more than a spark to keep the fire burning.
Exactly. It's those other essential elements that provide the fuel for a lasting and fulfilling relationship.
Okay, I like that. So if love is the foundation, what would trust be in our house? Analogy.
Trust is like the walls of the house.
The walls. Okay,
It creates a sense of security and allows both partners to feel safe and supported.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about respect?
Respect is like the roof.
The roof. Okay.
It protects the relationship from the elements, from those external stressors and challenges that inevitably arise in life.
Right.
When you have mutual respect, you value each other's opinions, boundaries, and needs, even when you don't agree.
Okay, so we've got the foundation.
Yeah.
We've got the walls.
Yeah.
we've got the roof.
Yeah.
What about the interior design? Where does compatibility come in?
Compatibility is like the furniture and decor.
Okay, the furniture.
It's about finding a style that works for both of you, creating a space where you both feel comfortable and at home. It's about having shared values, interests, and goals that align and support each other's growth.
This analogy is really working for me.
Good, I'm glad.
But I have to ask, what happens when those essential elements start to crumble? What are some signs that a relationship might be in trouble, even if love is still present?
That's a crucial question. Sometimes, even when there's love, certain patterns can emerge that undermine the foundation of the relationship.
Okay, so like what kind of patterns?
These patterns can be like cracks in the walls or leaks in the roof.
Okay, cracks and leaks.
They might seem small at first, but if they're not addressed, they can weaken the entire structure.
Okay, I'm getting a little nervous now.
Don't worry.
What are some of those cracks and leaks we should be looking out for?
One of the most common cracks is a pattern of poor communication.
Poor communication.
And when couples stop communicating effectively, they start to drift apart.
Hmm.
They might avoid difficult conversations, bottle up their feelings, or resort to passive-aggressive behaviors.
So it's like they're living in the same house,
Yeah.
but speaking different languages.
Exactly.
Well,
Another warning sign is a lack of conflict resolution skills.
okay, conflict resolution again.
If couples don't know how to work through disagreements constructively, resentment can build up over time, creating a toxic environment.
It's like those small arguments turn into major renovations that never seem to get finished.
Exactly. And if those renovations aren't handled with care, they can cause irreparable damage to the foundation.
Yikes. Okay, so anything else?
Another red flag is a decline in mutual respect.
Okay, so back to respect.
When partners stop valuing each other's opinions and needs, they start to chip away at the foundation of the relationship.
So it's about recognizing those cracks and leaks early on and addressing them before they turn into major structural problems.
Absolutely. Just like you wouldn't ignore a leak in your roof, you shouldn't ignore those warning signs in your relationship. Open communication, active listening, and a willingness to work through challenges together are essential for maintaining a strong and healthy connection.
That's a good point.
Hmm.
Now, this is making me think about how technology has impacted relationships.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a whole new set of blueprints and building materials have been introduced, and we're still figuring out how to use them effectively.
That's a great observation. Technology has undoubtedly changed the landscape of love.
Yeah.
It's made it easier to connect with people from all over the world, but it's also created new challenges for maintaining intimacy and connection.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It is. On the one hand, we have dating apps and social media that can expand our social circles and help us find potential partners.
Right.
But on the other hand, those same platforms can also create a sense of comparison, distraction, and even infidelity.
That's true. It's like anything else. It can be used for good or bad.
Exactly.
So it's up to us to decide how we wield technology in our relationships.
The key is to use technology mindfully and to set boundaries that protect the integrity of your relationship.
Boundaries are so important.
They are. For instance, couples can agree on guidelines for social media use,
Okay.
prioritize face-to-face interactions,
Right.
and carve out tech-free time to connect with each other on a deeper level.
That's a good idea.
Ah,
It's about recognizing that technology is a tool, and like any tool, it could be used for good or bad.
it's about harnessing the power of technology to enhance our connections while also safeguarding the intimacy and vulnerability that are essential for a thriving relationship.
Now, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about the science behind falling in and out of love.
Oh, okay.
It's fascinating to me that something so profound can actually be explained, at least in part, by chemical reactions in our brains.
It is amazing how our brains are wired for love.
So, like, how does that work?
When we fall in love, our brains release a cocktail of neurochemicals,
Oh, okay.
like dopamine, oxytocin, and norepinephrine.
That's all those brain chemicals.
Yeah, these chemicals create those intense feelings of euphoria, excitement, and attachment that we associate with passionate love.
So those butterflies in our stomach
Yes.
and that feeling of being completely smitten are actually rooted in biology.
They are, exactly. It's like our brains are designed to reward us for finding a partner and forming a bond.
Wow, that's so cool.
And while the initial intensity of those feelings tends to fade over time, that doesn't mean love is gone. It simply transitions into a different phase.
Okay, so what happens after the honeymoon phase?
Right.
Do those love chemicals just disappear?
Not necessarily.
What?
While the initial surge of dopamine and norepinephrine might subside,
Okay.
other hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin come into play, fostering feelings of attachment, trust, and bonding.
So different chemicals for different stages of love.
Exactly. This is often referred to as companionate love.
Companionate love.
It's a deeper, more stable form of love that's based on shared experiences, mutual respect, and emotional intimacy.
So it's less about the fireworks and more about the warm glow of the fireplace.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Companionate love is like the steady flame that keeps the relationship warm and nurturing even after the initial spark has settled. It's about feeling deeply connected to your partner, knowing them inside and out, and choosing to build a life together.
That's lovely. Now, this is making me think about those couples who have been together for decades
Yeah,
and still seem so deeply in love.
they're out there.
What sets them apart?
That's a good question.
Is there like a magic formula for maintaining that spark over the long haul?
Well, there's no guaranteed formula, but research has identified certain patterns and behaviors that contribute to lasting love.
Okay. Like what?
These couples tend to prioritize emotional intimacy,
Emotional intimacy. Okay.
meaning they share their innermost thoughts and feelings with each other, creating a safe and sacred space for vulnerability and connection.
So it's about keeping those lines of communication open and making sure you're still sharing your hearts even after years of being together.
Absolutely. Another key ingredient is maintaining a sense of playfulness and adventure.
Playfulness and adventure.
Long-lasting couples find ways to keep things interesting.
So?
They try new things together, make time for date nights, and never stop courting each other.
So they're always keeping the romance alive.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like they're constantly adding new chapters to their love story.
I love that. And what else?
They also tend to have a strong foundation of friendship. They genuinely enjoy spending time together, they share common interests, and they support each other's dreams and aspirations.
So it's about having a partner who's also your best friend.
Ideally, yes.
Someone you can laugh with, confide in, and adventure with.
Absolutely. When you have that strong foundation of friendship, you can weather life's storms together and emerge even stronger on the other side.
That's beautiful.
And of course, lasting love requires a healthy dose of forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
We all make mistakes, and enduring couples understand that. They're
Right.
willing to let go of past hurts, to extend grace and compassion, and to move forward together.
So it's not about holding grudges.
No, it's not. It's about recognizing that we're all human and that imperfections are part of the package.
It's about choosing to love your partner through those imperfections, to see their flaws as part of what makes them unique and special.
Beautifully said.
This is all so inspiring.
I'm glad.
It gives me hope that lasting love is possible, even in a world where relationships can feel so fragile and fleeting.
It is possible. It takes effort, intentionality, and a willingness to grow together. But when you find that special someone and you both commit to nurturing that connection, love can truly stand the test of time.
Well, on that note, I'm wondering what's the biggest takeaway you hope listeners will glean from this conversation? What's the one thing you want them to remember about the psychology of love?
I think the most important message is that love is a dynamic process, not a static state.
Okay, a process.
It's something we actively create and cultivate through our choices, behaviors, and willingness to learn and grow.
So it's not something that just happens to us.
Right.
It's something we participate in.
Exactly. We have agency in our relationships.
Yeah.
We can choose to show up with intention to communicate effectively, to nurture intimacy, and to work through challenges together. And by doing so, we can create the loving and fulfilling connections we all deserve.
This has been such a mind-expanding conversation.
Jed, I'm glad.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all you amazing thought tidbitters out there, we're not done yet. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into the psychology of love, where we'll explore the influence of power dynamics, the importance of emotional intelligence in conflict resolution, and the transformative power of vulnerability. All right, Thought Tidbitters, welcome back to our deep dive into the psychology of love.
Hi again.
We've covered so much ground already: attachment styles, love languages, healthy relationship dynamics.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
But there's one more layer I want to peel back before we wrap things up.
Okay, I'm curious.
It's something that I think often gets overlooked in conversations about love,
Okay.
but it can have a huge impact on the dynamics of a relationship.
All right, what is it?
Power dynamics.
Ah, yes. Power dynamics. Yes,
Interesting.
yeah.
We often think of love as this, egalitarian force.
Right.
But the reality is that power dynamics exist in every relationship.
They do, whether we're conscious of them or not.
Exactly. So it's not just about romantic love. It's also about how power is distributed and negotiated within the relationship.
It is. And those dynamics can be influenced by a whole range of factors,
Oh, like what?
from gender roles and societal expectations to individual personalities and life experiences.
So many different factors.
So that's complex.
Okay, so can you give us an example of how power dynamics might play out in a relationship?
Sure. Let's imagine a couple where one partner has a high-powered career
Okay.
and earns significantly more money than the other.
Okay, so a financial disparity.
Yes. This financial disparity could create an imbalance of power, with the higher-earning partner having more control over decisions and resources.
I see. So even if they don't intend to, like, exert control,
Right.
that financial imbalance could create a dynamic where one partner feels more dominant
Yeah.
and the other feels more subordinate.
Exactly. And this can seep into other areas of the relationship, like decision-making, household responsibilities, or even social dynamics.
Right.
The lower-earning partner might feel pressure to defer to their partner's wishes or to downplay their own needs and desires.
That's so interesting. So how can couples address these power imbalances
Yeah.
and create a more equitable dynamic?
That's the key question.
Is it even possible to have a truly equal partnership when those, like, external factors like income disparities exist?
I think it's definitely possible to create a more balanced dynamic even when those external factors are at play.
Okay.
It starts with awareness.
Yeah.
Couples need to recognize that power imbalances exist
Okay.
and have open and honest conversations about how those imbalances might be affecting their relationship.
So it's about bringing those unconscious dynamics to the surface.
Yes.
And having those sometimes uncomfortable conversations.
Exactly. And from there, it's about finding ways to level the playing field.
Levels the playing field.
This might involve redistributing household responsibilities, making financial decisions collaboratively, or even seeking couples therapy to explore those deeper power dynamics and develop strategies for creating a more equitable partnership.
So many different approaches.
Yeah, it's about finding what works for each couple.
Now, this is making me think about how crucial emotional intelligence is.
Absolutely.
Not just for individual well-being, but for navigating those complexities of relationships.
It's essential. Emotional intelligence is a game changer in relationships. It helps us understand and manage our own emotions, empathize with our partner, and communicate effectively, especially during conflicts.
Yeah, how does emotional intelligence specifically come into play when couples are, like, facing disagreements or arguments?
Okay, well, imagine a couple having a heated argument.
Okay.
If both partners have high emotional intelligence, they're more likely to stay calm,
Okay.
listen to each other's perspectives, and find a compromise.
Compromise is key.
It is. They can regulate their own emotions even when things get tense, and they can empathize with their partner's feelings even if they don't agree with them.
They can kind of, like, weather the storm together.
Exactly. They have the tools to de-escalate the situation, to communicate their needs effectively, and to find a resolution that honors both partners.
What if one or both partners lack emotional intelligence, though?
Well, then things can quickly spiral out of control.
Oh, I can see how that could happen.
Yeah, imagine that same couple arguing, but this time one partner is yelling, blaming, or shutting down completely.
Not good.
These are all signs of low emotional intelligence. They might be reacting impulsively, letting their emotions dictate their behavior, or failing to consider their partner's feelings.
So it's like their emotional intelligence is offline,
Yeah, you could say that.
and they're just reacting from a place of hurt or anger.
Right. And that can be really damaging to the relationship. It creates a cycle of negativity, resentment, and misunderstanding.
So how can couples build their emotional intelligence muscles?
That's a great question. The good news is that emotional intelligence is a skill that can be cultivated.
Oh, good.
It takes practice, self-awareness, and a willingness to learn and grow.
Okay, so how do we start flexing those emotional intelligence muscles in our relationships?
Well, one of the most important things is to develop self-awareness. Pay attention to your own emotional patterns. Notice what triggers you, how you typically react in stressful situations, and what helps you calm down when you're feeling overwhelmed.
So it's like becoming a detective of your own emotions.
Exactly. The more you understand your own emotional landscape, the better equipped you'll be to manage those emotions effectively and to communicate them to your partner in a healthy way.
This makes me realize that vulnerability plays a huge role in all of this.
You're absolutely right.
Oh.
You can't have true emotional intimacy without vulnerability. It's the key to unlocking deeper connection, trust, and understanding in a relationship.
So we're talking about like being open and honest about our feelings.
Yes.
Even the messy ones.
Even the messy ones. It's about letting your guard down and allowing your partner to see the real you flaws and all.
That could be so scary, though.
It can.
What if they reject us?
Yeah.
Or judge us for those imperfections?
That's the risk we take when we open our hearts. But the potential reward is so much greater. When you choose vulnerability, you create a space for your partner to do the same. And that's where the magic happens.
It's like this reciprocal dance of courage and trust.
Beautiful.
One person takes the leap and the other follows.
Exactly. And over time, those small acts of vulnerability build a foundation of deep connection and intimacy. It's about knowing that you can be fully seen and loved for who you truly are without judgment or pretense.
I love that. Wow, this entire conversation has been so insightful.
I agree.
It's like we've taken a magnifying glass to love and relationships.
We've explored so many facets.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your expertise.
It's been my pleasure.
To all of our Thought Tidbitters out there, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the psychology of love. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.